Hey, it is your buddy, Peace and Harmony with you here today. Much love going out to all the beautiful, empowered harmonizers. We are zooming in and focusing in on a great viewer question, and that is to discuss the covert narcissist need for attention. When we talk about someone who is a narcissist, they want to be in the center of attention. They want to be in that pivotal space. They want to be in the limelight. They want to be in the shine. They want to be the loudest. They want attention. They want eyes on them. They want people to react and respond, engage in conversation, and that kind of control the flow of information, if you will. So it's not biased. So the covert narcissist really has a bias and an insatiable need for attention. A bias meaning that they will use their defense mechanisms, their protection mechanisms that help them to feel good and provide relief for their pain. Basically, by getting the endorphins going and then by seeking attention. You might call this grandiosity. You might experience this as entitlement in another. You might, experience this as wildly inappropriate, uncalled for, ridiculous, disgusting, horrific, makes me vomit, makes me sick. These are your guttural physiological reactions because you're picking up on something. The body does not lie. The body has a vagus nerve, basically, which is going to come down into the center, of your abdomen and then into your solar plexus, where there literally are brain cells, which are called neurons, that come through the vagus nerve, and that's why they say, I had a gut reaction. It's kind of an interesting space to check in with, when you're trying to understand this narcissistic need for attention, because it becomes toxic, and it's unhealthy, and it becomes disordered and unnatural and excessive. And it's very deliberate. And especially, when you're talking about someone who is narcissist, not only do they need attention, covert narcissists do they need attention, but they need to hoard and hog all of the credibility, all of the credit. So for things done. In other words, it's because I earned all the money, because I did all this, because I, and if others start to rise up and then show some credibility or credit or are picking up on something, they want to deflate others. They want to diminish, ground down, gaslight, and brainwash, basically giving them resistance, pushback. No, that is not right. You're asking too much. You're out of line. You're out of whack. You're wackadoodle. Something's wrong with you. You should be ashamed of yourself. Go put yourself in a corner. Go climb into the basement, whatever it is. You're not going to, I'm not going to sort of concede to your need. It's going to go unheard, unrecognized. It's kind of like standing in the rim of the Gulf, the Grand Canyon. Can you hear me? And then you're not getting any response back. You're not going to get a responsiveness, a closeness, or a connection with a covert narcissist. You're going to feel separate, out of touch, disconnected, and unless you're sort of giving into their need for attention, it's really a chronic and ongoing thing. You might have turned, the other cheek. You might have looked the other way. You might have, perhaps given into their suggestiveness that, your thinking is awry, but it's the covert narcissist and their need for attention. So when you start to rise up, when you start to become empowered, when you start to have your I am, getting strength, credibility, clarity, you're accomplishing some things, you're on that path, and you're sort of, really on, and making that, on that journey towards, being happy, being, secure, whatever it is, you've got your plans all, blueprinted out. At those pivotal moments, here is going to come in the narcissist and just sort of take you down a notch or 10. Just, you thought you were up here, boom, 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 boom. They're going to do, this is just, it's a pattern of their behavior. They are very uncomfortable having others in the center of attention, because oftentimes it presents a challenge to them, either that they might not get the attention to. So for them, this is has dire circumstances for their happiness and their power and control. So if anyone else starts to rise up, their immediate target for sabotaging, their immediate target for scapegoating, they're an immediate target for gaslighting and brainwashing. So you have to be very, very careful, because when you first start to sort of get on that sort of, I just want to say, top of hill moment, like when you're on your situation, they're going to throw a wrench in it. When it's not, broken, they're going to make you all of a sudden have to fix something. Especially when your life is going without crisis, they're going to throw a crisis wrench into it so that they can get attention. So, with a covert narcissist, it's just, they're like a needle. It's just like they're always going to want to hit a certain, level of attention that they need. And then if you're not giving it to them, you're then labeled as a misfit, non-compliant, a problem, a disturbance, a pain, not a good guy, not a good girl, a troublemaker, needing too much, you're off balance, you're chemically imbalanced. They're going to cause a thought disorder, which then is going to create an emotional disorder in their supply. So it's creating a very serious imbalance, chemical imbalance in crisis, and sort of the endorphins that, start to really get you charged up and juiced up, but in the wrong direction. And it can cause these sort of circular discussions that don't go anywhere, that are, keep you down and sort of away from viewing what you need to view for yourself. Have yourself made visible. Have yourself, your I am, validated. The covert narcissist, as I always say, it's not what they share. Oftentimes it's what they don't share. It's not what they're thinking, positively. It's what they're not thinking positively. And they won't I call it kind of like a credibility jar. And I've talked about this in the membership videos, but basically, if you have value, if you have credit, if you have your I am, you've got your juice going, you're ready to culminate a relationship, you're ready to graduate, you're ready to accomplish something at your job, set up, there's a big promotion for you, something where the focus is on you and what you're doing, and for you to have credit or even validation of calling something out, they're going to throw a wrench in it, whatever it is, to sort of deflate and disempower, because you're trying to get the attention. They are that sneaky, sly, fox-like, snake-like, whatever it is, wild is the wind on this one. And so you can either say, I'm going to fly a kite, I'm going to hang on to this, and I'm just going to, feel like I'm in Never Never Land and wondering why things aren't happening in my life. Or you can understand these sort of identity erosion that comes with a relationship with a covert narcissist. They sort of grind it down like an emery board. What was once clear, solid, validated, high energy, what we call high vibration, they're going to try to take that down and diminish and disconnect and sort of separate you, from the pack or from them, so they can continue to their life in ease and go unchecked, undiscussed, and irresponsible. Whether you want to call it the narcissist entitlement, their grandiosity, their superficiality, their lack of empathy. You have to understand the extent, and I call it sort of the tendrils, that this has in its effect in relationships with others. Specifically, the feeling and emotions and behavior becomes disturbed in others because of this. And you think, and believe me, I get a lot of comment. I'm not even going to go there right now. I'm going to save that for a membership video. But you have to understand that you must have a strong backbone. You must have a guard up. You must be on your defense, especially when the hover attempts comes back. Especially in times of crisis, the pandemic. They're gonna, give me a free go pass or whatever it is, get me off the hook. They're just going to sort of, because people are scurrying and they're changing their lives or their employment or their relationships or all these big things have then been canceled. They're thinking, well, now's a good time for me to sneak in, the crack in the windowsill and see if I can get in this person's environment and just sort of shake it up if I can get more attention. So it's not a healthy relationship. You will feel energetically that there is something awry and something off, but people oftentimes discredit their own feelings because they have been instructed or non-verbally just sort of insinuated that you're the one with the problems. Because you're calling them out, you're the one with the problems. Do you see how it's an easy way for them to not have to confront things? I mean, they do not, to confront normal things is over-perceived by them. So they are very sensitive to this. They will give a lot of rebuff. You'll get the narcissistic rage, which is just a very sort of, sort of toddler-like show of anger that's supposed to be listened to and cooperated with and reasoned with, but oftentimes it's very irrational anger, which then creates just sort of oftentimes an irrational fear in others about their own selves, an irrational fear about themselves, their sense of self, and their ability to connect with others because they're, the narcissist wants to keep their relationship as a template and keep you like always at the beck and call so they can pull you back in if need be, and we'll set the seeds for you to sort of be there in the future to sort of serve them in their need for attention. And that and this includes basically an agreement that you will not be in a positive center of attention, which goes unjudged. So there's always a degree of judgment, and people will feel judged by these others. They will just feel that way very harshly. So you can tell when you get that gut feeling, that something is imbalanced. There's a percentage that is off. It's not a 50-50 share. It's not even 60-40. It's going to be 90-10. Or, 95-5 about, on the wing, it's like a seesaw. They're the heavyweight in the relationship. They will not, and it's their constant need to be in power and have control. But part of the problem is that they will deflate others and sort of take away the credit, your I am, even if it's as basic as like, this is my famous casserole noodle joie doodle doodle. I mean, you might have a specific sauce that you make. You might have a specific cake that you always do, your cookies, your whatever it is. Maybe you just have a specific style of cooking, and then next thing you know, they've trumped it up and that you're nowhere to be discussed anymore. You've lost credibility, otherwise known as if you feel that you have lost face. So in these moments, don't lose face. You have not lost face. You have not lost faith. You have to identify it within and realize that it's okay for you to be in the center of attention, because if you've been in this relationship for a long period of time, then it might feel uncomfortable then for you to be, held accountable or accurate or believed in. This might not be a normal feeling. So you have to slowly expose yourself to being validated, to being heard, to being listened to being complimented, to being trusted, so you have to realize that is the energetic space that you need. You can hold it to your gut and know it's the right thing to do. But the narcissist will create in others a constant need for approval. In other words, you always have to circle back. There's, even if it's mentally, for the next time you get together, they just want to, they just sort of, you have to check in, or you have to get my approval first. It's a way for them to keep their leg up and basically insinuate to others or deflect that you can't do for yourself, or you can't do for me, you can't do for others. It becomes this sort of gestalt, which is known in psychology, where the mind just fills it in. Even if there is, a small piece missing, your mind will fill it in. It's the gestalt, it's the big picture. So what happens in my feeling is it's kind of like a negative gestalt. People begin to fill in their own sense of self and how they handle and cope with the relationship. like they're missing pieces. They're missing a vital piece. They feel that they're missing something. It's because of the covert narcissist need for just sort of, I want to say, not even a blind obedience, but sort of just that you have to always, they will be the boss, the leader, the follower, set the terms, and as if like you have no opportunity to discuss. It's not open for discussion. It doesn't enter that middle energy between the two. There is no sort of symbiotic resonance of sort of, that being, together. They are very threatened. They have to, their need for attention is then sort of becomes then the need to control information and credit for things. It becomes a need for them to control things, and it can become an obsession. It can become a compulsion, but there's no need for you to be deflated. It takes a long time to, and people stay in that deflated, despondent, oftentimes then state, which is very unhealthy. You can miss long periods of your life. You can feel that you've been working on this for too long now, and it's oftentimes because you are not given the respect to have even, that iota of strength, because it is a threat, a perceived threat, an irrational fear. And so you have to realize that you need to be able to receive attention. And if you're not going to get it in this relationship, they just are going to be judgmental. They're not going to speak. Oftentimes, what they should. They're very withholding of warmth, affection, balanced. This is it's not what they do with a covert. It's what they don't do. It's just they're very tight-lipped. Not speaking things, not giving acknowledgement and validation, eye contact, a greeting. I mean, this is some of the basics here. And so you can understand that the problem is within them. It is not within you. You must understand that the problem exists outside, even though you feel it within. A lot of people think that they automatically assume because of this very specific mix that I liken it to like a formula in a chemical beaker. Remember in science when you'd have those beakers, those long glass things, or maybe you had photography, where you used it. I'm not sure where you might have seen it, but you pour the chemicals in and then you're supposed to get a reaction and you're supposed to take notes and show it to your teacher. It's like, whoops, we were not supposed to combine all these chemicals together. And part of the chemical experience, I would say, is one of enmeshment, which means that you don't feel that you have a clear boundary, which you shouldn't feel guilty for having, because your electromagnetic energy and you have a heart and a brain and all these cells that are working hard to give you energy and life, and that will sort of not be engaged upon if it's giving you sort of this respect. It's a feeling, it's an emotion, it's nonverbal. I mean, we're talking about communication here. And if you can talk, in studies that a bulk of communication is nonverbal. A very small percentage is the actual words. A lot of it is the tone, but a lot of it is what you're picking up. And so this can be a new thing for you. Like, why am I going through this ongoing and chronic pain? And I feel that, I don't matter. My viewpoint doesn't matter. It's just washing away. It's gone with the wind. It's gone with the beach. It's just gone. You just feel that there's this sort of absence, and then it can be a deflation. And that is the body sort of curling up, going back into fetal. It is a regression. And unless you want to be in a regressed, unhappy state, you might understand how and why this is. And I mean, I could go on for extended period of time, for this topic. I mean, so we have to do a lot of videos. You have to digest this. You have to understand the dynamics. You have to understand these as people skills, and heal from this as a therapeutic intervention for yourself. I mean, literally, you're going to need to do this and give yourself this credibility. And I think part of the problem is oftentimes those people who are in relationships with narcissists, they're always eager and able to give others support, acknowledgement, validation, applaud their victories, be there to celebrate their accomplishments. They're always sort of reflecting back to the narcissist. Do you see? And then when it comes to you, oftentimes the supply who have been there through them, oftentimes for a lot of period of time, through thick and thin, they are not going to get the same acknowledgement, validation, support, affection, warmth, time of day, etc. So there's oftentimes this sort of nonverbal understanding that, give you what you give, you will receive, but you oftentimes won't see that manifest in a relationship with a covert narcissist because they just don't have it. It's not part of what they are made of. They're just, but oftentimes you don't see their true colors until a period of time goes by and you realize that they are not there to satisfy and connect with you on an emotional level. You might feel empty in your own house, alone at a big party. I mean, it'll create, and it will create a global feeling within you. And as I think we were saying before, I mean, there's just so much but it's just like children who are abused or neglected by their parents or neighbors or siblings, by others who have, basically taken advantage of their vulnerability. And if these individuals, that are angry, upset, yelling, the children usually, are absorb, what's in their environment like a sponge and tend to think that they are the cause of the distress. So, and then you have to then become like this problem solver. You have to become the intermediary. You have to be the peacemaker. And oftentimes, people who find themselves like working too hard in the relationship then, or taking care of things that they should not be taken care of. It goes too far. It crosses the line. Why should I be responsible for this? Why should I be responsible for that? You have to look at this tendency that they will develop and inoculate, just sort of, and get those people who they're taking advantage of addicted, if you will. So you have to be very careful and realize that you do have credibility. You do understand what's going on. You are upset for a reason. This is not right. This is not fair. This is not a good fit for you when you're feeling that suffering. But you have to understand that is part of the cause that has created this effect, a feeling that you're not doing enough. Do you see how, and then what other, people then become clamoring to do more for the narcissist, giving them more attention, to think that eventually it'll circle back and give them attention, but it doesn't always balance out. So that's part of the problem that you can, hopefully understand in the privacy of these videos, how this has created this sort of gulf of emptiness within you, because it's this constant habitual need to, give the attention and seek approval. When you can give yourself attention and seek the approval and validation of yourself, take it up a notch and say, you know what? I'm giving myself approval today. I am listening to and respecting myself today. And I'm going to see what that feels like and that looks like, and to be assertive. So you might need to get a little bit of assertiveness when it really comes to standing up for yourself. Standing up for yourself sometimes really means standing up for yourself. You're not going to take it laying down, sitting down. What was that song? I will survive. I'm not going to take it laying down or whatever. No way. You cannot just sort of waffle your way and just think time is going to heal this. Time will heal, but you do need to stand up for yourself and be able to declare what is yours. This is known as boundary creation and what I also call standard. So if they've crossed the boundary, violated, and tried to take, something away from you, you have to really understand. This is important for you to acknowledge and validate, because it's a taking that you need to restore and recover, and make sure that you take care of yourself, even if you're used to taking care of the narcissist, and it's sad, and you think that was the way, and they had trained you, programmed you. Oftentimes, it feels very guilty or wrong because you feel that you're starting out with, square zero. And after you feel like maybe you've, contributed a lot to the relationship. So you feel that the sort of loss of investment, time, energy, emotion. Will I get that spark back? Yes, you will. But you're going to be a little bit matured. You're going to be cautious. You're going to stand up for yourself. You're going to be assertive. And you can study what it means to be assertive and have that confidence. And being, but, you have to be able to give to yourself. The cycle has to come back within rather than, and then understanding the deleterious or negative effects that it's had on your energy, your perspective, your mindset, and your outlook. And really what you have like to show in your life, relationship wise, happiness wise, financially wise, all that good stuff. You have to realize that it's important that you get to be in attention and protect yourself so that you can take credit and ownership where that is due, and don't let them steal your thunder, because it's a very sort of insidious, tedious way that the relationship with a covert narcissist has a way of doing that. Protect your thunder, protect your lightning, own your qualities and your I am and what you've done. Make sure you really protect this and you get it solid, not like on shaky ground, but really remove the blocks that are keeping you from experiencing this. It's your buddy, Peace and Harmony, with you here today, and I hope that these videos do help. Please share, please subscribe, and please donate for more great tools, videos, discussion, and support. Peace be with you. Peace out, and have a beautiful day.